Staveley claimed that he had dozens of employees at 3 restaurants, but investigators say it's not true.
Our cases are diverse in size and scope, involving fraud ranging from requests for just $30,000.
As detectives began looking at the applications, they identified nearly 200 that appeared to be fraudulent.
The document says Wiggins received about $3.7 million after submitting 2 PPP loan applications for businesses known as Wiggins and Grams Enterprises, LLC.
If you haven't noticed, the PPP loan fraud is becoming more and more common. I mean, even the Google search for PPP loan fraud is at an all-time high on Google Trends. And PPP loan fraud is so out of control that it has actually become a joke over on Twitter. Now, I'm not sure why people are not taking the government seriously or why they think they can get away with lying about businesses and employees when there are so many ways to easily invalidate their loans, such as payroll taxes and previously filed business returns. And even more than that, every dollar given to someone under fraudulent circumstances is one less dollar for an actual business that is actually struggling to keep their doors open, and I'm frankly fed up with it. But here we are. And in this video, I'm gonna break down exactly how this scam works by taking a look at a few people who have gotten caught so far. And I say so far because I think we're gonna see a flood of new arrests in the upcoming weeks. So these are the stories of those who went cuckoo, but not for Cocoa Puffs, but for PPP. Now, when you think of someone with over 39 cars, only a few people come to mind. Maybe Mark Zuckerberg. But in this case, you won't believe this, it's actually a pastor. That's right, Rudolph Brooks Jr., pastor in Washington, D.C., was arrested and accused of using PPP money to buy over 39 cars, one of which was a Tesla Model 3. Now, despite having good taste in cars, here's where things took a turn for the worse. According to the criminal complaint, he identified himself as the owner of a business called Cars Direct, a used car business that he used to apply for PPP. Now, authorities say that Mr. Brooks opened Cars Direct in 2010, but actually shut it down in 2012, 2 years after starting it. Well, that wasn't until Brooks allegedly brought the business back to life in May of 2020, merely 2 months after the CARES Act and the Paycheck Protection Program was signed into law on March 27th. Then, according to authorities, Mr. Brooks applied for $1.5 million in PPP funding for the business Cars Direct and used fraudulent tax forms to support that application. And once approved, he is accused of transferring those funds to his personal bank account and then buying over 30 cars with the awarded PPP funds. And I mean nice cars, including a Bentley Continental, a Mercedes-Benz S-Class, a Tesla Model 3, and 2 Infiniti Q50s. Then in August, authorities say Mr. Brooks wired more than $140,000 to a title company for the purchase of a property in Baltimore. But Mr. Brooks allegedly couldn't believe how easy the scam was and decided to test his luck by applying for 2 additional PPP loans. Well, on April 2nd, federal authorities arrested Mr. Brooks and seized more than $2 million from 11 different bank accounts. Authorities claim Brooks' fraudulent tax returns showed over $700,000 in payments and $7 million in unemployment payments to employees of Cars Direct, which ultimately led to his arrest as the IRS and the state of Maryland investigated his claims. If Brooks is found guilty, he is facing a maximum of 20 years. So let's unpack this. This is the case of someone who allegedly used a dissolved business, fraudulent tax returns, and used PPP funds for non-business activities. All things you cannot do under PPP guidelines, and if true, a recipe for jail time. Now, Facebook videos show a hotel room covered in $100 bills and Louis Vuitton bags. But it wasn't a clip from the latest Instagram influencer. It was a video allegedly posted by Florida couple Julio Lugo and Rudolph. Now, authorities claim Lugo and Vernet applied for $5.8 million in PPP and EIDL funds by submitting over 70 fraudulent applications for shell companies created by Lugo, Vernet, and their relatives, all while using their home IP address. And once they obtained the funds, they allegedly paid off a luxury vehicle, used over $13,000 of it at weight loss centers, and used over $62,000 of it to gamble at casinos, and $320,000 of it was withdrawn in cash. Now, this newfound wealth was then publicized on Facebook, with the video showing a hotel room lined with $100 bills and at least $5,000 in Louis Vuitton. And that's according to the District of Florida acting U.S. Attorney. Now, do you think their short-lived taste of luxury was worth it? If convicted, Lugo faces up to 45 years and Vernet faces up to 35 years in federal prison. So this is the problem. The couple used fraudulently obtained PPP and EIDL funds to pad and flaunt a luxury lifestyle. Next on our list is a South Florida couple who authorities say filled their bank accounts with over $800,000 in PPP loans and over $200,000 in economic injury disaster loans. It starts with a Florida couple who claim to be farmers, owners of a beauty supply store, and owners of an auto leasing business. LaToya Stanley and Johnny Philus worked together to allegedly file 4 fraudulent applications. Authorities say Stanley filed a PPP loan for her company Dream Girl Beauty Supply that she said employed 18 people. Meanwhile, Philus filed for a separate PPP loan for her auto leasing business named Elegance Auto Boutique that employed over 20 people. But the couple didn't stop at the Paycheck Protection Program, and the couple set their scheme on the economic injury disaster loans, aka the EIDL. Stanley is accused of completing an EIDL loan application that reported over $800,000 in revenue and 5 employees for a farm located at her residence. And Phyllis reported $400,000 in income and 10 employees for a farm located at another residence. Now, in total, Stanley and Phyllis teamed up to ultimately receive over $1 million in funds from the PPP and EIDL applications they filed. But according to the Department of Justice, the farm did not exist and neither did a single employee. So this couple used teamwork, non-existent businesses, and made-up employees to get access to PPP and EIDL funds. The 3 stories I just mentioned are just the tip of the iceberg for those being caught. And my hope is that this video will encourage anyone watching to not commit fraud. So let's dig a bit deeper into what PPP loan fraud is and what you can do if you know someone is committing fraud. So what is PPP loan fraud? The False Claims Act makes it illegal to apply for SBA loans and PPP loans using false information. This includes the act of making up businesses, using previously dissolved businesses, misstating your employee count, and using awarded money for purposes other than its intended use. Even after a business obtains a PPP loan, it must abide by strict requirements and limits on how businesses can use the funds. All right, now let's look at common PPP loan fraud triggers. The first is making false statements on your PPP application. The second is applying for multiple PPP loans across multiple lenders, which is called loan stacking. And the last is using awarded PPP funds for unapproved purposes. Now, there are 4 common criminal charges for someone accused of PPP loan fraud. The first is wire fraud. The second is bank fraud. Third, you have false statements to a financial institution. And lastly, conspiracy to commit fraud. And there are 3 ways to report PPP and EIDL loan fraud. The first way is to submit an online complaint at this address. Secondly, you can call the OIG hotline at 800-767-0385. And lastly, you can submit a complaint by mail to the following address. Well, there you have it, folks. I truly hope this video helped someone today. If it did, please hit that like button for me and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more video. I'm Crime with Life Accounting. Until next time.